Hi, this is Jaya. In this video, we shall see the summary of Big Match by Yasmin Goonaranthne. This poem is an objective perception of the ethnic conflict that erupted in Sri Lanka in 1983. The poem opens with how media report about the outbreak of ethnic violence in the country. The general civilian life gets disturbed and the tourist arrivals to the country get cancelled. The ordinary public life turns topsy turvy. Flashpoint in Paradise and Racial Pot Boils Over are the headlines which the newspaper carry around the world. It seems that poet is subtly sarcastic over the sensational wording of the situation reported by the media. The way the poet relates the incident seems to have a touch of irony and pun. An arrival of an expatriate boy in search of his lost roots, lost lovers, lost talents, as poet says, is timely. Yet he seems to be gripped by unexpected circumstances of violence and bloodshed. The title itself seems to be a nuance that seemingly carries an idea of a popular event in Sri Lanka. Probably the poet uses this in order to highlight the common mentality of the people in Sri Lanka and how they treat the incident. The poet reminisces over how the ethnic violence first sparks off in the Isle. She traces it back to 48 and 56, but it seems her focal point is treacherous politics played in 1958 by making Sinhala the state language. The politicians riding on popular waves of electoral promises, as depicted by the poet, have contributed in fueling the ethnic sentiments of the masses. It seems that they have comfortably ignored the options of the academia in the country. The poet makes very dexterous maneuvering of words in coloring it with popular big match cricket. This may be to heighten the fact that people enjoy sadism in hurting others in the same spirit as they welcome big match cricket in Sri Lanka. As the high spirited young boys take to streets with great enthusiasm, which sometimes even the adults overlook during the big match season. The ethnic violence seems to be an rampage while the authorities pay a blind eye over what is happening under their nose. She goes on to say that the violence has reached the unprecedented proportions than the highest runs scored in a game of cricket at the Oval Grounds. The fourth stanza spotlights one isolated incident where an old man living in a tall house with old books and pictures is answering the phone. The words of the old man are packed with razor sharp sarcasm and insult over what is happening at the time. The caller seems to be someone who domiciles away from the country. The old man seems to be gripped by the eventful days filled with fear and trepidation. Though the days are filled with horror and suspense, the old man doesn't seem to lose his sense of humor. He says life is full of unexpected twists and turns which drive away the boredom and monotony. He calls the mobs the brave lads. No sooner the curfew is lifted, they are back on the street as if they enjoy every bit of what they are doing. This seems to be the order of the day, and the old man says that he sends away his loved ones to a neighbor's home for safety. But he seems to be ready to fight back and protect his valuable books, which he thinks are more important than his own life. He washes away his nervousness and anxiety in liquor, which he says is more excessively consumed than usual. He humbly thanks the caller in an unruffled voice for his concern over the well being of him and his family. The sixth stanza starkly illustrates some inhuman and careless circumstances which had become the commonplace during the period of ethnic violence in Sri Lanka. The brutal killings of unarmed innocent civilians and the destruction of valuable property seemed to be the order of the day. The telephone conversation concluded with heart pouring gratitude, and he was surprised over the communication network which was still uninterrupted. Because when the violence broke out, most of the telecommunication lines were damaged and the civil life literally came to a standstill. Dead bodies lying on the road and the indifferent attitude of law enforcing authorities culminated the shameful bloodbath in Sri Lanka. The last two lines of the seventh stanza bring out the most horrendous and gruesome nature of the killing spree which was unleashed on the ethnic minority in the country. It was brazenly ironic to see a man being beaten to death under a bo tree while pleading for his life. This leaves a lot of questions and answers to the already wounded Sri Lankan public psyche. The last answer sums up the whole scenario with a cutting reference to the pieties and politics which seem to have ravaged the once calm and serene lifestyle of Sri Lanka. The poem goes like this: Big Match 1983. Glimpsing the headlines in the newspapers, tourists scuttle for cover, cancel their options on rooms with views of temple and holy mountain. Flashpoint in paradise, racial pot boils hot, and even the gone away boy who had hoped to find lost roots, lost lovers, lost talent, even out among the palms, makes timely return, giving thanks that Toronto is quite romantic enough for his purposes. Powerless this time to shelter or to share, we strive to be objective, try to trace the match that lit this sacrificial fire, the steps by which we reached this ravaged place. We talk of 48 and 56 of freedom and the treacherous politics of language. See the first sparks of this hate fanned into flame in 1958, yet find no comfort in our neat solution, no calm abstraction, and no absolution. The game's in other hands in any case. These fires ring factory and oval and big match fever, flaring high and fast, has both sides in its grip and promises dicier scores than any at the oval. In a tall house dim with old books and pictures, calm hands quiet the clamoring telephone. It's a strange life we are leading here just now. Not a dull moment. No one can complain of boredom, that's for sure. Up all night keeping watch. And then as curfew ends and your brave lads dash out at dawn to start another day of fun and games and generally jollity. I sent Padmini and the girls to a neighbor's homes. Who? Me? Oh, I'm doing fine. I always was a drinking man, and nowadays I'm stepping up my intake quite a bit. The general idea being that when these torches come within 50 feet of this house, don't you see it won't be my books that go up first, but me. A pause. Then steady and every bit as clear as though we are neighbors, still as we had been in 58. Thanks by the way for ringing. There's nothing you can do to help us, but it's good to know some lines haven't yet been cut. Out of the Palmyra fences of Jaffna bristle 100 guns. Shop fronts in the Peta, landmarks of our childhood, curl like old photographs in the flames. Blood on the khaki uniforms, 3 boys lie dying. A crowd looks silently the other way. Near the wheels of his smashed bicycle, at the corner of the duplication road, a child lies dead, and 2 policemen look the other way as a stout man, sweating with fear, falls to his knees beneath a bo tree in a shower of sticks and stones flung by his neighbor's hand. The joys of childhood, friendships of our youth, ravaged by pieties and politics, screaming across our screens, her agony at last exposed. Sri Lanka burns alive. And here in the poem, if you have anything more to add on to what I've said, please write it in the comment box. Like the video, share it with your friends, and if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe and support. Thank you.